No, she's reading detention.
Yeah, the network's
Oh,
not
the
working
network
very
might not
good,
be
so.
working.
Maybe.
So, because everything's.
Hey,
Locals only today.
Yep, old school again.
so we might be
Ruby,
fielding
Ruby.
some phone calls in our office for that.
I don't know.
Well, if we need to, it says on the agenda, it's open to the public. I mean, we're in here.
Well, they should be able to hear us.
Oh, so there are people on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we just can't.
So they can hear us, just can't see anything.
Well, maybe they can hear us. All right, being as it is 10:32, we are going to call the morning meeting to order. Let the record show 2 commissioners are present and that the executive session was 15 and then another 15. First up today is our Public Works Director, Gordy Kelson.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeff King. Just for your information, I can see and hear you.
Oh,
Interesting.
well, we can't see you. At least not through our big TV.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Keep playing with it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have a few items on your consent agenda I'll go over. We have first 2 items, 10 and 11, are contract bonds, and this is for the heating and cooling replacement on top of the courthouse roof and at the Pioneer Center. Contracts were signed last year,
Yes.
but the bonds followed on a delayed mode, but we haven't done any work, so until the equipment actually is ready to go, so nothing is amiss here. Item number 12 is a facility use agreement between the county and the American Red Cross, and this is for if there's an event, and we haven't already used it for something else, a facility like for a shelter up at the fairgrounds that we've done in the past for evacuations, that the Red Cross, we could rent our space out to them during a time of emergency. So it's just an agreement to be open and available in case we have capacity to help out.
Have we ever charged them in the past?
If anybody actually uses it, yes, we would. But we have not had anything open other than Monastery Fire when we had it as an evacuation location. So.
Does DNR use it up there to camp out for their fire hotshots and stuff like that?
Monastery.
They have in the past, yeah. It just depends on the event and where it's located. Item number 13 is a contract bond, retainage bond with James Dean Construction for the Courtney Road project. And item number 14 is the local agency standard consultant agreement for Bell Design for surveying work within the county on our projects and as needed. On the construction side, the contractor's been working out at Roosevelt Grade since last week, and they'll be finished with the rest of their items this month, hopefully by mid-month, but we'll see. Courtney Road work started this week, so the road was closed yesterday, and they started falling trees to clear for the new alignment. So work has started.
And it is now shut down.
Yes.
For number 13, how many of our contractors choose that type of the retainage bond over, because this is the different way, right?
More and more.
More, yeah,
Okay.
because it's taken longer and longer, up to 6 months for contractors and longer to get their retainage back.
Yeah, the state is holding.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very slow. So they're doing this to keep their dollars.
All right. Yep. All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, Klickitat Path. We are having an open house next week on the 12th at 6:30 p.m. at the community center. Courthouse parking lots. The city did not approve our request last night to vacate Grant Street, and they had some concerns. And so we're looking at how we can incorporate or change the design to with the property that we have and what can be done.
What were their concerns?
They didn't want to close Grant Street or have access off of Grant Street, or not Allen Street, sorry.
So, Lauren wants egress on Allen. He thinks too much traffic on Court. Dave agrees with Lauren. He can't support it as it is. Mylan opposes. He's looking for more option. Steve wants to move or remove the sidewalk in the parking areas that you can widen Grant Street. But he's opposed to any, and will be opposed, even was a no vote on tabling the issue until labor.
You just said no.
Just, he's a no. Roberto's worried about the width of the street, ADA requirements, Lauren, too much traffic on Court. Ellie agrees with everyone else. And I don't think anyone was in favor of the vacation option. Those were the notes I took.
So that's a pretty
Well,
sounding difficult situation, uphill battle.
No, I think the option is come up with a couple of different options that are out there, and we'll talk about it when Dave comes back. And then throw a couple redesigns and put something forward, and maybe they'll accept one of them.
we'll see what'll fit
Are we gonna
based
ask
on the
what,
constraints.
yeah, based on what they want?
Yeah, if we can't vacate the street, our options are
Very limited.
limited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
less parking.
it will be less parking and likely
Good thing
a
we
little more than
overbuilt the park.
half will be
Yeah.
left.
Little more than half of what we were hoping for, expecting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so.
We built a lot of extras, so. Will it save us money if we don't build it?
Of course,
I like saving money.
yeah, we'll save money.
Yeah, but where it kills us is that gravel that's over there. We bought that lot in that house. So the amount of money spent on the gravel for how many parking spots are now gonna be in the gravel isn't a very good return on investment.
Okay.
So, but we'll come over planning when Dave's back.
All right, well,
All right, we'll bring something back next Tuesday. Let's see. Maintenance side, so we finished filling the hole. That's good news this week. That's finally over, and the contractors sub will be back to finish their work. So the rest of the surfacing, the rest of the sidewalk and the pavement and the striping and all those things. So we'll get the rest of the courthouse parking lot finished hopefully before the end of May. And so that'll help out a lot, I think.
how many parking lot spots is that? Is that 18 or something, 15?
What's that?
How many parking spots is that gonna add once we finish that?
Well, it'll double what's there, so, another 20, 25.
Oh, that many.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, so it'll be helpful. And it'll be nice to have that piece, the front of the courthouse complete
Yes.
again too, so. Let's see, then they're also still sweeping sand off the road and hauling rock on Park Place in Wishram,
Mhm.
and then grading. So it's great. We're grading while we have some moisture. And same thing on the west end, we're grading roads, and if the weather stays like this, we'll continue crack sealing. So crack sealing is started in preparation for chip sealing this summer.
Stays like this, you mean blizzard, snowfall?
No,
Sunny and
sunny and
windy, dry, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see, on the building, so we talked about the courthouse parking lot. The next bigger thing that happened over the weekend was the installers for the HVAC system came in and adjusted many of the units above the ceiling, and we were successful in quieting things down in some locations and not as much in others, so there's still work to do.
And when they turn some of those down and it gets warm, are they gonna be able to keep up with the heat on these windows?
Yeah, so that'll be when we've never gone through a summer with us in here, so we really don't have any experience. But I know if the sun will be higher, so they're not gonna be shining directly in those south facing windows. So, but yeah, that's, the goal is it should. And a lot of those thermostats for those offices on that southern side are near those walls and those warmer areas, so.
Hopefully there's enough flow, and if not, we'll have to call them back out.
Yeah. There should be enough airflow. The units will stay running. They just can't ramp up and change as fast.
So they can't use me for an example, because I'm the guy with my window open on a day like today, so I'm a
But yeah,
little
we had
biased to
another
cold
director
weather.
that had 86 degrees in there.
Yeah, that's true. We had one in here, 86 degrees in there today.
And you. Okay.
Okay. Radio sites?
We took delivery on the actual radios, so that is, so we have the equipment now. We just have to get the geotech, and yes, we figured out the battery thing, the other day. So we're doing what we proposed and continuing to move forward. We'll be doing the CUP and the SEPA. SEPA's done. We're just gonna get the CUP together, schedule a hearing.
Okay.
On a side note, in a very generic fashion, was the only contractor that was in the building this weekend the HVAC people?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I handed out the Dear Candidates letter that every couple of years, we put this out. Just to remind those campaigning that the signs that they place for their campaign are located outside the public right of way. So this gives them maybe a little more guidance and just reminds them. So if we do have an issue, we pick up the signs and we take them to one of our shops.
Yep.
And so the candidates can pick them up from our shops. So, and that it lays all that out in the letter. So just usually like to let you guys know before we send out the letter. Give you the heads up.
Picking up the signs.
Yeah. And then the last thing on our list, so every year we do our bridge inspections. So that's this report here. And it notes any issues that we have with any of our bridges and any new developments and work that we have to do to comply with federal and state guidelines. So probably the one that has the biggest cost impact to us is updating load ratings. So for the last, I guess, 5 years, the state has, or the federal government has allowed more varied types of truck configurations, which then have to be reevaluated nationwide. And bridges need to be rated or load rated and posted if they need to be, to let carriers know that they can or can't take a certain type of vehicle across those. So that's something that we have to do this year to comply with federal law, and that'll cost us probably about 40,000 that we were not anticipating. So that's a hit financially to the maintenance side.
Do we do the bridge inspections ourselves, or do we sublet that out to a bridge engineer to come in and do that? How does that
Yeah,
work?
we sublet that out. I used to do that when I first arrived here, and we just were very busy, and it takes a lot of time.
Yes.
Takes about a month's worth of work. And then there are certain inspections, there are special inspections that are required where we don't have the equipment to crawl under the bridge and take a look at some of the,
I like it this way better, because nobody could say that there's a bias, or, you're not fixing it because you didn't want to pay for it, or
yeah,
independent review, which is a good thing.
yeah. So anyway, that's the big thing. I know we have issues with the Byerland Bridge on Hochter Road. We have one that's posted for speed on Middle Road, And we have to keep an eye on that because people that have energy projects out there like to use it because it's a shortcut, but the bridge has been damaged in the past from the first windmill projects that came through. And so there are several bridges like that we're keeping an eye on. And then the bridge on BZ Glenwood Highway that has that broken abutment or crack in the abutment, that we'll be looking at that one as well. So other than that, just normal wear and tear and maintenance required. If you flip to the last sheet, it's this vertical bar graph. So this is basically the sufficiency rating of our entire 57 bridges as an average. And so you can kind of see that it kind of goes up and down. So every time we fix a bridge, we go up. And then if you can kind of see that as it goes down every year, the sufficiency rating on the whole network of bridges goes down until you do another project. So the last one toward the far right, that spike was when we fixed Wakakis Bridge over the Klickitat. That's the spike, and then it slowly drops off. So
Where are we at comparatively to other counties? I mean, we're running around an 80 on average in sufficiency. Where West Side County sit? Do they sit
it
pretty?
just depends on where you're at. You know, they struggle on the west side. There's just more deterioration because of the amount of water that they have and rain. So their stuff goes downhill faster. And so they spend a lot more money maintaining and replacing than we do. We have some bridges that are fairly old, but still fully functional.
Two questions. It says does not include short span bridges. What is the definition of short span versus long span?
Less than 20 feet in length.
Next question, how do we compare with the number of bridges we have in our county compared to other east side counties, not west side? But over here, do you have any idea?
I don't. I'd have to look that up.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, inspected. So these were all the ones that were inspected. This has all the bridges in total, not just the ones that were inspected.
Yeah.
So which one is the 25, the S steel span bridge, and the P that's at 40? We know?
I don't know if that's the Roosevelt. My guess is it's Roosevelt, but I'd have to check for sure.
Which bridge are
And
you talking about?
So when you look at this page, right? We have an S at 25 and a P at 40. You know, a lot of these are, up there. I'm just looking at this bell curve. And that S, the steel span bridge, and we only have, what, 3 of them?
Yeah, so you have Rock Creek, Roosevelt, and BZ Corner.
Yeah.
We're doing work on the Roosevelt, or not Roosevelt, the Rock Creek Bridge. We've painted both the other bridges, so actually it's probably this one. That's why we got money to fix the substructure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what does a deficiency FO stand for?
Functionally obsolete. So it's too narrow, doesn't carry, like Wakakis.
Right.
Like
It
Hood River.
doesn't, Wakakis Bridge is narrow. I think it's 16 feet
Yeah.
wide, so it doesn't handle two-way traffic. That's functionally obsolete,
Right.
but structurally adequate.
Right. So the road hall, wood grade, okay, landfill underpass, Strands Road. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Great
welcome.
information. And so what's our goal? We try to do half every year, and then we flip to the other half every other year.
Yes.
Yeah, we also do inspect, our consultant inspects the city of Goldendale's bridges, because it's just more economically feasible for them to,
Just pay us.
pay, yeah.
And then the bridges in Glenwood, the one that you talked about down there on the south end, and then the one right there next to, like, in town, Where does that one sit? I mean, we want to replace that soon, right?
Yeah, so the one in town is less than 20 feet, so there's no federal funding available for that one. That's the other thing. If you're over 20 feet long,
You may get
you
federal.
qualify
Yes.
for, yeah,
But you're not guaranteed to get
No,
federal funding. right?
correct, yeah. So we can get federal funding for the one on BZ down near Lakeside Road.
Right.
That one's
The-
eligible
The Outlet Creek one.
for repair or replacement.
And does that one flow over at times? Does it flow over the road there?
I've seen pictures of it close, but not overtopping,
Okay,
no.
but further north of there, the road, it goes over the road at times, right?
Yeah, it can, yeah.
All right.
You're talking right at the south part of Glenwood below the refuge, right?
Yeah, the very southern part of the valley,
Right.
yeah.
All right. Any other updates?
I don't know, anything else I forgot?
no, I think that's it.
Questions?
Nope.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your update.
All right, thank you. I can leave this here if anybody's interested in the, look at that.
All yours?
Trail.
Oh,
Usually we send
yeah.
one of those for you guys, but we didn't do that this time, so.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, good morning. Happy birthday.
Thank you, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was a good birthday so far.
I'm here.
Yeah,
You're
you're
not on
25
vacation.
now or 26 or?
22.
I ain't saying that out loud and in public. And it's real.
It's real. Wait till you get over the 5-0 mark, sir.
No, not a goal.
It
Whenever you're
happens.
ready, ma'am.
All right. So as everybody knows, we're having printer issues. So,
We're aware.
yeah.
She's reading from her phone. That's
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
reading from the phone. My laptop hasn't been updated either, so, yeah. So we had our first litter crew event up in BZ Corners. It was a big hit.
How many people were, I'm sorry, I should shut up and let you do your update. Go ahead.
Quit interrupting.
I'm
Yeah.
scolded myself.
Actually, I think there was like 24 people all total. We did a total of like 8 miles for litter, and it was about 2 cubic yards, so 2 truckfuls, truckloads of garbage. It was a bigger success than we had expected for the first time through, but yeah, got a lot of garbage off the road. We had a litter getter event scheduled with the pool. However, that didn't materialize for the 4th. And then we have another event at the end of the month in Goldendale. So, so we're still in the process of routing and trying to figure out who's going to be responsible and who's going to come grab the stuff. So,
Is it the same kind of idea, public
yep.
outreach?
Yep, this is our public outreach. It's our litter getter event or program. So rather than adopt a highway, we have people that actually want to get out and help beautify their neighborhood or, get some of the litter off of the roads. So,
Is the Goldendale event going to be inside city limits
Yep.
stuff?
yeah. So, yeah, super excited.
I first read it as litter glitter.
Litter glitter, ooh,
I actually kind of liked
I
it
almost
more.
kind of like that. Yeah. And then we're starting on our Secure Your Load education and awareness. So June 6th is Unsecured Load Day, basically. So we are in partnership with Ecology right now to track data, get data, track data, and then find out where we're at after that. It turns out that the Department of Ecology was supposed to help with the conversation with law enforcement regarding the RCWs and WAC codes. However, that did not happen. So I'm still trying to figure out the line of communication on who's supposed to be responsible for that.
Have you
then
ever
calls it-
checked with law enforcement to see data, how many citations a year they've written for unsecured loads, or if they've ever written that, or?
For this area, no. There is data for the rest of Washington. I don't know how up to date it is, but in this area, it
Doesn't happen?
doesn't happen. So.
Hmm.
It has been a point of contention for the last couple of years, because they don't write those infractions. And I don't know, I'm seeing lots of bags of garbage on the
Well,
side of
like
the road.
with your illegal dump, 100 pounds, were you able to track down a name or anything in there?
Nope.
Okay.
And that's the other thing we do too. Like if we find bags of garbage on the side of the road, like we go through it to see if we can find a name. There was a time when we were actually writing citations for that, or at least sending the police out to have a conversation with them. But there has to be a certain amount of trash or bags to really to warrant that. So
I almost picked one up on 97 that I had to swerve around this weekend just to dig through it and see who owned it.
yeah,
'Cause, yeah, it was an accident waiting to happen.
yeah, it's getting worse. Like it's been a lot worse over the last 6 months. So where are we at? Oh, and then of course I gave you guys the RCW code. That's the specific law regarding unsecured loads. It's not a literal law, it's an unsecured load law.
Right.
And then I currently do not have a litter crew supervisor. So I am requesting the opportunity to reduce that position either to 30 hours a week without benefits or 35 hours a week without benefits. So originally, Lori was doing this position 40 hours a week, and she was also doing outreach and education, and she was helping with the grant management, or at least getting trained over into grant management. And I continued to go with that particular model, but have been unsuccessful in finding the right candidate to be able to do those tasks within the grant. So I'm just requesting an opportunity to reduce it from its current form until such time that we find a unicorn.
And you said 30 hours a week without benefits or 35 with?
Without benefits. I
Can
don't.
we
I
do
just want-
35 without benefits?
So right now it's 35 hours with benefits. So originally when I came on, it was 30 hours, but it was like this, just straight 30 hours. So there was 3 days that were spent out on the road, but that was all that they did. And yeah, it didn't really work out so good, at least on the administrative part of it, but
Then on the 30 hours, how much of that is actually litter grant funded? How many hours does that pay, and how much of that 30 hours is actually out of your landfill fees?
so if we go to 30 hours, it's covered by the grant,
Okay.
period. But it would be like a casual, it would be a casual position. So, like sometimes maybe there's only the ability to do 20 hours. Sometimes maybe there's ability to do 35, but the grant covers the entirety of that.
And that's because if you don't have workers, they're not going to go
Well, yeah, there's that too.
as a casual, right?
So, but by removing part of these hours, you're gonna not have that, because that person was also coordinating and doing education with schools and whatnot to some degree, or supposed to anyway.
Yeah, to some degree.
And
The only thing that this changes up is the benefits part of it. And, yeah, and of course it'll take a little bit out of my, it would take some relief off my budget. So,
Have you
off
talked
the
to Rob about
administrative
this?
fees part,
Hmm?
off the administrative fees part.
yeah, I have talked to Casey, but there's other stuff going on, so I just wanted to put it out there that, this is the direction that I'm wanting to go, depending upon what the conversation is later on today.
Right. So that's where I was getting is
Yep.
it's an ask, but we're not making any decisions
Right.
because we have a conversation later
Yep.
today.
Right,
Right.
okay.
Okay, continue.
Oh, so the contracts are signed with Emerald Systems to do the recycling for twine and film. So we are still looking for a business here in Goldendale to sponsor that event. And I spoke to the feed store and she's willing to do it, but I got to get over there and get her to fill out all the documentation for that. And then I think we're going to be using Ace Hardware over in White Salmon for the west end of the county.
Is this something that's gonna be on site forever, that we can just, anytime you go there, you can dump your twine in it, or is this, you have to go on a specific day?
It'll be open all week. It's going to be a receptacle, like you can go and take your stuff, drop it off.
But it's only
Whenever.
for a week?
No, actually, we're going to be running this pilot program for a while.
Okay.
The hope is that because there's a market for that particular material, we'll be able to find an outside market that can take that out of the waste stream. They are tanglers, they are a problem for the MRFs. And, so in our contamination reduction plan, we have in there a need to reduce those.
Right.
And so this is an answer to that.
Right, my question was timing, because,
Yeah.
9 months out of the year, I can give you 2 pieces of twine a day, but this time of year I ain't giving you any, because
Right.
I ain't feeding, so.
Yeah, we're not going to know until it's been going for a while. We're just not going to, this is a pilot program, so we'll find out whether there's,
How
big
much-
enough.
How much is
need-
Emerald Systems getting out of this?
I think it's like 400 and something for like the entire thing, the pickup, the round trip. She'll only be picking up once a week to once every 2 weeks, depending upon what that need is. When we spoke about it, I was like, I don't know that I would require or need it to be any more than one time a week, because that would cut into whatever budget we have.
Say, I'm assuming most people are gonna be like me, I got 2 garbage cans in the barn, one of them's for baling twine and one of them's for everything else.
Yep.
So when the bag gets full of baling twine, then I would drop it off there, but,
Right.
it's gonna take me 6 months to get the bag full.
But we're not just taking twine, we're taking film, different types of film,
Film.
plastic film. So like your saran wrap or your pallet wrap. There's a list on the sheet on what kind of film is accepted, but I mean, it's a big list. So we're not just taking the twine, we're taking the film as well,
So how
or
many?
Julie is.
How many pounds do you see this being?
We don't know. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
in the education campaign?
yep. So this, like I said, this is just a pilot program. We'll probably see how it's gonna play out here in about 5 or 6 months.
And it's Julie with
Emerald
she's-
Systems,
Right.
Mhm.
Where's she at?
Hood River.
Okay. And so then she picks up once a week or so and then
Yep.
delivers wherever it goes from there into it.
Yeah, she actually takes it to a market. So there is a market for those commodities. It's just whether or not it's gonna balance out with collection and then taking it to the market.
Okay. Yep. All right, continue, please.
Bingen and White Salmon has their community cleanup coming up on the 22nd and the 23rd. And paint is a big issue this year. Tires are also an issue. People, last year they dropped off everything that they've been storing forever through the COVID thing. So this year we're limiting tires and we're limiting paint. So unfortunately with Paint Care having come on board, kind of messes with the paint situation. You have to have somebody that's trained to be able to pack it, sort it, pack it. So we're gonna have to take the paint from the community cleanup over to the transfer stations and let them pack it and sort it.
I guess I don't understand limiting tires and paint. In my mind, if you only take half of somebody's tires and paint, they're gonna find a place for the other half.
Well, we already know spring is here because tires are breeding on the side of the road.
That's my point. So
Yep.
if we don't collect, their tires, we're just gonna have to collect them off the side of the road.
Well, I mean, we're still collecting tires. They can take them to the transfer stations, 5 tires, up to 5 tires without rims, they can take to the transfer station. So it's not like we're telling them no. We're just hoping that they have less than, a big old pile. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of how much litter pickup we're gonna have to do if we, I don't really want.
Well, the tires, yeah, the tires are already something that every year are, they just breed. One tire turns into 10. So.
Okay.
But I mean, we just don't have the ability to drive those up to wherever they need to go. So we have to be a little mindful
I
of
get that.
what our limitations are.
So with a hauling unit down, roll-off trucks, are the community cleanups gonna be able to proceed, and is Republic agreed to make sure that they're gonna have stuff there?
Yeah, so I haven't spoke to Kenny yet today. When I spoke to him on Friday, they had one roll-off running. They were still waiting on a part for the other roll-off, and then the other one was just waiting for like a radiator or something. So hopefully they'll have another roll-off running by the time the events start. But it is depending upon how that goes. As long as they don't have any other roll-offs that break down, they should be okay. I just can't guarantee it. But I am monitoring that pretty close.
Okay.
Lyle has their community cleanup in April on the 9th and 10th, and then Goldendale has their cleanup at the end of April on the 30th. And we're also doing the Home and Garden Show this year, so super excited about that. We haven't done that for a while. It's been so small previous to COVID. It was pretty small, so it just it didn't seem to really make much sense to spend resources doing that at that time.
Who mans that booth?
Michelle, myself, Joe. Litter crew person, if we have one. Yeah, we share the duties.
Okay.
And then lastly, so Greg Bringle up at the landfill is no longer with the company. He's moved on to greener pastures. His last day was Friday. Josh will be here 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, until they are able to backfill that position. Starting this month, I will be spending 1 day a week up there at that office. So I'll be able to keep you guys updated in terms of, hiring when they're gonna get somebody up there. What that looks like, so. Yeah, it's not ideal. The market right now is extremely thin when it comes to people who are.
Everything.
Qualified
They'll
employees.
want to work more than live. So it's kind of hard to find. Yep. But
Okay.
anyway, that's where I'm
Okay.
at.
You planning on doing fair booth again this year?
Yes.
Okay, no.
Any other
'cause,
questions?
For us later, when Dave's here, I want to bring back the possibility of doing a county fair booth that gets all of our departments to pitch in and help man community outreach, whatnot.
Then we can hand out our tips for country living.
Bingo, bango.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
remind me if I forget.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Do you have any questions for us?
Hmm.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. Do you have anything else for the good of the order? I have a bunch
No.
of phone calls to make.
Nope.
Would you want to make a motion to adjourn for lunch?
I would make a motion that we adjourn for lunch and come back at 1 o'clock.
I will step down and second the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We will see everyone at 1 o'clock. Being as at 1 o'clock, we are going to convene the regular business meeting of the Klickitat County Board of County Commissioners to order. Let the record show 2 commissioners are present. Commissioner Sauter is away on vacation. We will open if everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's kind of weird not having a blue card. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the business agenda as presented.
I would step down and second the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I don't believe we have any minutes.
Don't have any minutes.
I was gonna say Dave hasn't looked at the 2 from the last time.
Right. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to move into citizen comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. At 1:25, or when all the comments run out, then the commissioners will respond to those comments if they so choose. As has been our policy, we will begin in the room. If somebody would like to provide citizen comment, please come forward, give us your name and where you live, and we'll give you 3 minutes of uninterrupted time.
I guess that would be me.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
This has to do with the junk stuff in my neighbor's yard. And I filed a deal with the man named Lem. And he wrote me a letter, which you'll see in those packets. It says that they can't do much about it. But if you look at these photos, he's got approximately 40 junk cars in his yard, and he's hauling them in all the time on trailers. Sunday or Monday, it was either Friday or Saturday, he hauled in 2 junkers that don't work because they are junk, and some of them are in need of rear axle, some of them don't have hoods, they don't have tires on them, they don't have engines. And all these pictures were taken from my property. So what I would like to see, and he's got piles of trash, people living in trailers and motorhomes on the property. And he has lots of stuff. And I would just like somebody to either write him a letter or tell him that he needs to clean the joint up because it sure ain't helping my property values at all. He hauls them up. He's got some that have blown engines. He's got several boats over there, a couple junk tractors, just all kinds of real nice stuff. A hot tub that's sitting up on its side. And he has a patch in his garden that he grows marijuana, which he has a permit for. But he put plastic over it to keep the sun off of it. And then he pulled all the marijuana plants up and then he left the plastic. So the plastic's deteriorating. And because he lives on the west side of me, I end up with all the plastic in my yard. So I put up a fence, and then that didn't work. So I bought chicken wire, like you said, and I put it up 150 feet along my fence on my side, up against the fence to keep the debris from coming through the fence, but it still comes through. And I'm just getting real tired of it. So as you can see in those pictures, it's not a pretty sight. And I figured if one of you guys had that next to you, you'd probably want to do something about it, as well as anybody would. It keeps a nice, clean yard. I invite you guys to come out if you want to. Come out to 364, which is my address on Woodland Road, and take a look. You know, the gate's always open, or it's closed, but it's so because I have a fence around 5 acres that I keep my dog in there, so he doesn't get out and bother the neighbors or anybody's animals or anything. And it's almost embarrassing. And if I ever want to sell that property, I won't be able to. One spot there, you can see where he's got a Davenport, a whole bunch of trash bags laid out there, and it's on a burn pile. So I assume he thinks he's gonna burn that, which is against the law. But, you know, we need to enforce that or we're gonna turn Klickitat County into a dump. Because on the way out Woodland Road, there's probably 10 houses that have multiple cars that are just junkers, busted windows out of them, they don't run. And I would appreciate it if you'd talk to Lem and have him either write him a letter or make him build a fence between me and him, because it's a junkyard, and junkyards you're supposed to have, so you can't see the junk. Well, if he wants to have junk over there and all those junk cars, he should build a fence.
Roger, thank you so much. Your
Yep.
3 minutes are up, and I'm sure that one, if not both of us, will respond to you at the end of public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we are going to go online. Anyone who is interested in providing public comment, raise your hand, *6 to unmute yourself. Turn your video on, get our attention. 3376. Please give us your name.
Good afternoon, Ken McCune, Goldendale. I want to jog your memories back to year 2000 when Enron scandal affected us here in Klickitat County. The aluminum plant was still going, and there was the energy plant here, the Puget Sound energy plant was installed. At that time, I personally delivered 300 signatures, around 300 signatures to the Department of Ecology, asking for public input on the effect and the of having that energy plant right here in our town. And they actually came over and met with several hundred of us in the Goldendale gymnasium, and we were able to ask questions and get answers from them. And here we have this solar energy farm, a feeding frenzy going on here that, you guys are sitting there like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, yet you got hundreds of people out here wanting to discuss the issue and come to maybe an equitable compromise on some of this stuff. So basically, I would like to see you guys reinstitute the moratorium on the solar farms until we can have a public meeting with the people that want to come and offer their opinions on the developing industry that you're trying to get going here. I mean, the government is of the people, for the people, by the people. It's not just one bureaucrat sitting in a desk in the planning department or the public works or wherever making decisions for thousands of people. We were able to do it in the year 2000. I don't see why we can't have a public gathering like that now. And let's talk it over with Carragher and the solar panel, the solar farms. We deserve it. We deserve the right to be heard. And I don't know if you want to do it or not. I don't care if you want to do it. You need to do it. And I think the only thing that can come from it is good. To find out what people that the people that want them on their land, the neighbors that don't want them on the land. We don't know what people are thinking. And Department of Ecology came over here. I don't see why Carragher and the county commissioners can't arrange to have the people heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McKeon. Next up, we will go back in the room. Does anyone have public comment? Come on forward. Yes, you do. So everybody online can hear you. And thank you for coming. We always give previous commissioners the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for the welcome. I was just going to spend a lovely day in Goldendale, but Roger just lit my fire. And I was part of the board when we did the nuisance code compliance ordinance. It took a long time. It was hard work. It was put together based on people's rights, but both the landowner and the offender have rights. It was done carefully by Skip Grimes, and it ended up being very defensible in court. And there's a procedure built into that to notify the offender and to do everything possible to help them work through getting their problem cleaned up. There's also built into that ordinance ways of recouping the county's costs. You've got two challenges. One, upfronting the costs sometimes of the abatement. The second one is getting the perfect person to be the code compliance officer. That's a real challenge. I guess I don't support seeing a deputy be the first interface to somebody that could be convinced to come into compliance peacefully. We had two women that were extremely good code compliance officers. You remember them. And when needed, the deputies were willing to escort them. It can still be done, but it's going to be hard. It's going to take money, and you're going to have to be interested in getting this county cleaned up. So with that, I wish you a lot of luck, but you gotta do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fry. All right, we will go back online. If there is anyone who would like to provide public comment, *6, raise your hand, turn your video on, get our attention. Doesn't look like anybody. We will go back in the room. Ladies, do you have any public comment you'd like to give? Okay, we'll go back online then. Second chance for anybody, the 35 people who would like to provide public comment. Sherry Bosque, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I guess I couldn't resist. I'd like to talk about the under canvas conditional use permit that our west side has been fighting for, it feels like 2 years now, if not 2 years now. And, you know, recently I made a comment about how at the hearing, under canvas attorney and the county commission or the county assistant prosecuting attorney sat next to each other with a space in between, and then the appellant's attorney. Anyway, it felt like it was the county together with under canvas against the people. The appellants are your constituents. We are your people. We are the people who have elected you to serve us. So, you know, I want to touch on base with this again. You know, actually it was the people fighting against our county. We weren't fighting against under canvas. We were fighting against the county's decision to approve an environmental checklist in a location that we feel was absolutely detrimental, should not have been there even on the SEPA alone, let alone approve a conditional use permit. So, you know, as we move forward into what I am calling the Goldendale solar invasion, you know, you're planning on using a conditional use permit. And we saw how this was pushed against the people. The people did rise up out here. We did use our own money to go against our county. And this is what you're pushing on the people now with solar. And you're using a conditional use permit that says solar does not belong there. And I'm asking our county commissioners to stop now, to look at what you're doing. You know, this is serious. This will take away farmland for decades to come. Clark County has warned, I have been told by ecology, warned the east side counties, do not destroy your agricultural land. We need it to feed ourselves. And with that said, you are working with Avangard, Ivarola. They have lawsuits against them. They are not, they're foreign entities. You are working with companies who have started big issues, raised electricity rates in the east side of our country. I've warned you about them. I've sent you information on them. You need to look into who you're making contracts with and what you're doing to our county. I'm asking again to have a public town hall. Discuss it with Golden Dale. You've discussed Track D with Glenwood. You've discussed the mill with Klickitat. Discuss with your people of Golden Dale what the plans are and how this invasion will be started with Carriger with one conditional use permit. It will start, and it's not fair to do to your people. It was not fair to do to us with Under Canvas. We spoke up. We told you the dangers. Stop doing this to the people. Work with them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bosque. We will go back in the room. Is there anybody who would like to provide public comment? Seeing none, we will go back online. Is there anybody who would like to provide public comment? Star 6, to unmute your phone, turn your video on, raise your hand. 0088. Didn't even see it.
Yeah, this is Delmer Eldred, Goldendale. And I'd like to know, you guys have created a mess for the people, for the future of this county because of your neglect to keep the moratoriums in place and put in some ordinances. But I just want to know what are the plans that you're going to do with the toxic trash that we're going to be looking at? I mean, there's the Department of Ecology has no idea where all this stuff is going to be by 2050 because there's no place to put it. You're going to have solar panels, you're going to have batteries. None can be recycled, it can't be buried, and it can't be burned. So what is your thinking? Are you guys going to put in decommissioned renewable sites in Klickitat County next on top of the industrial solar sites that are basically unreliable, unsubstantial, that don't produce enough electricity to amount to a whip? But I just want to know, what is your plan? What are the commissioners' plan for decommissioning all this stuff, this garbage that you're putting in? I mean, we're talking 78 million tons of metric tons of solar trash alone without the other stuff by 2050. I mean, that would look like Mount St. Helens piled up. So I just want to know what the commissioners have planned, because they seem to be okay with all this stuff, that it's just going to be wonderful, but they don't care about the future of this county. Maybe they're not even going to be here, so they could give a damn less. And that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Eldred. Okay, one more time in the room if anybody's changed their mind. I'm not seeing anyone. We will go back online if anybody. Tracy, thank you.
Hello, commissioners. Good afternoon. And I'm Tracy from Lyle. And I just had a short comment on the Red Cross faculty or I can't talk. Using the fairgrounds for a shelter, and it looks as if the emergency management is going to be paying people to work in that shelter, and that's not what the Red Cross is all about. We're all volunteer, and we don't encourage people that get paid from taxpayer money to work at our shelters. And I don't understand why they're doing that. But the main topic I wanted to talk about is your professional service contract with Mr. Bell Design Company. And it looks like this is an on-call surveying services with the Public Works Department. But when you read through that long, 20-page contract, it actually looks like it's more for the communications for the emergency management. It goes on to say it's a multi-year project. It's got $1 million cap. Well, it's not even a cap, because if with the agreement between the two parties, they can do over $1 million, in my understanding here. And the last page is what really bothers me about the confidential information. So it says that, and it's all about consultants and sub-consultants and such. But who is going to make sure that these people do not abuse our rights and our confidential information, social securities, state agencies, source codes. It says all kinds of things. It's 2 pages long of confidential information. And I just wanted to know who's going to hold the keys and who's going to look over that project. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, is there anyone else interested in providing public comment online? *6, unmute yourself, raise your hand, turn your video on. I am not seeing anyone. Okay, last chance. Anyone online or in the room would like to provide public comment? Okay. Commissioner Christopher, is there anyone you would like to respond to?
I guess I'll start right there. My
Just
time's
kidding.
up, I'm sorry. You're not the only one. There's actually another one right around the loop from you.
Yep.
That I've had multiple phone calls with that gentleman. What this gets into, from my understanding, is 2 different variations of the law and what we can do under each variation of the law. Phase 1 or step 1, or the easy one, is the people that have a few bags of trash that are easy to clean up. Yeah. That's no problem. We've worked on that code, filled that code. We have a great code compliance officer, Lem Pratt. You might be aware. Those are what he's working on. Step 2 is, like he said in his letter, is the actual abatements, where we need to go through our county code on that and make sure we have our I's dotted and our T's crossed to make sure we can get through litigation on actual abatements. I've had some talks with the other problem we were having, or the previous boards were having, with those abatements, is they would send them out to bid and the people would come in to bid to clean up the trash. And it was a 4-hour project for 2 people and the bid was 50 grand. Apparently there was a project that was bid on that they didn't know had asbestos. And then the person bid and then found out it had asbestos and they got kind of screwed on the deal. So then every bid coming in after that assumed asbestos in the back of every car, that every trunk was full of asbestos. So there was a mishandling in one issue that caused a lot of our bids to go sky high. So I've worked with some of those cleanup guys to hopefully get some better bids when we do get around to start doing the actual cleanup stuff again, which, like Lem said here, is hopefully April timeframe. We can start targeting the things like you have right here. So it is on our list. It is relevant. I can think of 5 houses on the road next to me, and 3 of them probably qualify for what you got right here. So it's not just a small little piece of our county. It's pretty much everywhere.
If we don't jump on it and start taking care of it, when people start hauling cars in, we need to write them a letter and say, you can't do this unless you build a fence around it, like you're gonna have a wrecking yard.
Yep.
That's required by law.
So we have, I think, 3 unlawful wrecking yards they're working on right now. These are different than an unlawful wrecking yard. So anyway, we are working on this. Hopefully we get that part of our code or our law up and in place in the next month or so that he can start hammering down on these. And then we've got to, when we get to the next budget cycle, put money away in the budget for these kind of cleanups, because, at 50 grand a pop and you got hundreds of them.
I would just like you guys to write a county letter it's gonna do a lot better than I write him a letter, or I talk to him. I've asked him to, I said, what are you doing? Getting the junkyard? Oh, no, these are friends of mine. Well, then you got people coming in and getting parts off of it, and I think he's selling the parts.
Probably.
I told them that, but he said you have to have the sheriff watch him for a while. Well, if you walk over there, you can see that there's, without hoods, without engines, without alternators, without anything.
Most of
And-
them are parts. Yeah, they're selling them on
and he's
eBay and.
doing that, and that's against the law too. He can't do that. But it's not gonna do any good for me to go.
Right, so that's where the whole nuisance abatement part of it comes in, where Lem's working with the prosecutor to make sure all of that gets handled, so that when we do go to court, it will actually pass court, and we can get the judgment, and then we can do the abatement. So it is on our radar. It is something that we talked about when we first came in, wanting to do a little more of. And bear with us. We're finding out real fast in government, we can't do anything quickly.
Yeah.
There's
Well, just
roadblocks put in front of us every
Keep
step
that
we
invitation
take,
I gave you
so.
both to come out and drive into 364 and look at 360.
Well, I
And-
told your neighbor around the corner that I'd come out and look at his. I was actually out there for the estate sale,
Yeah, he's
right
got a
on
little
that
dump
corner.
there, too.
But yeah, and that was mostly human trash,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, he's got real problems with that.
uh-huh.
I just
So,
see the whole county, people just, I don't know why they need all them cars.
One other thing I'd like to add is it clearly, for nuisance abatement and nuisance, it takes two people to make complaints. So I don't know if somebody else has made a complaint on this property as well, but Lim cannot look into it until a second person has made a complaint.
What you guys need to do is come out and make a complaint yourself.
We
can't-
don't live within 5 miles, and
You have to live within 5 miles, and you can't be
county,
a county employee or a county in
Talk to
charge
my
of.
neighbors, see
So
what they think.
that's the quick step right there. And then, like Lem's aware of this, we just talked about it with him, what was it, a week ago?
And one other thing I would like to say is we went without a code compliance officer for a year. Lim came on board and he took the number of code compliance cases from nearly 200 down to just a handful. So the code compliance was our first priority, and he's got that underhand, which is why hopefully in the month of April, he's
That
going to
is-
come in and we're going to get started on nuisance
That
abatement.
included all of the septic tank issues and raw sewage on overflows, and we deemed that as being the first
Well, yeah,
item to
with-
target.
yeah.
Those are now wrapped, we're moving on. So,
I don't know about asbestos in cars. I worked in construction for years, and when we found asbestos, that was set aside, and we didn't take a bid on that. We had to have, and then we went to the other areas that didn't have asbestos and continued our contract with those people, but we set aside the ones that were real problems with asbestos. Not too many cars anymore have asbestos, but they stopped that in 1964 or something like that, so a lot of these cars are fairly new, so. All done?
yep, give us some time on that one, sir. We're definitely working on it.
But thank you for bringing this.
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to respond to anything else?
I guess, well, I don't have much time. I guess I'd say I won't respond to under canvas because that's pending litigation. There's remarks in there that we're working with all these solar companies. I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm not working with any company. In order to change what is currently allowed in our zoning, including solar panels, we have to update our comprehensive plan. And for anybody that was listening a year ago, that was item number 1 on my list to do. Our comprehensive plan is 20 years old and needs updated, which is why we put a call out for a senior level long-range planner so that we can get some of these really old plans redone, and maybe we wouldn't have some of those things in it. I'll leave you the rest of the time, sir.
I think you hit it pretty well on the head. I'm just looking. With regards to the surveying services with Bell Design, that's a regular contract that was put out for bid for 3 weeks, and most of that is all regular contract language. That Bell Design is a surveying and engineering firm. I don't know where Miss Tracy gets the information about communications. That's not something that they do that I've ever known them to do. With regard to the Red Cross, what we're doing is we're setting up the agreements in place now. So when there's an emergency like a monastery fire, the Red Cross can come and use the fairgrounds. And that we have our regular rental rates that end up getting charged for the use of the fairgrounds for these projects, which is something that we will discuss in the future. With that, it is now 1:30 and I'm going to close public comment. I would like to thank everyone in the room as well as everyone online for being here for your opportunity to have direct one-on-one with the Board of County Commissioners. With that, I'm going to find my blue card. We have been having technical issues throughout the county for the last day due to a server error. So I apologize if things don't go as smoothly as possible. Next up, we will move on to a bid opening for the designation of the official county newspaper for advertising all legal notices and delinquent tax list, as well as notices to be published by newspapers of general circulation in Klickitat County per RCW.
One bid was received.
And let the record show one bid was received.
From the Goldendale Sentinel, 117 West Main. I like looking at other details too. 526 subscriptions, 2,127 requested copies. Yeah, they have a 7-inch of text at $7.50 a line is $52.50. Publication for 2 weeks, 7-inch at $7.50 a line is $105 even. And I believe that's all we got.
Would you like to make a motion?
I was gonna let you read it first.
Fine. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion. Normally, I would say we send it back there for the clerk's review and recommendation to the Board of Commissioners.
There's been a motion and now a second. I step down and second the motion to return this to the clerk of the board for their review and recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are now moving on to miscellaneous reports. District Court Judges Rick Hansen, Jeff Baker, and Prosecutor David Cannell for the discussion concerning the management of the litter and work crew. And then after that, we will have a discussion concerning entering into negotiations with the Klickitat County municipalities to determine a more equitable method of charging for district court services. Come forward, gentlemen, please, so everyone online can hear you.
Thank you, Board, for your time today. My name is David Cannell, Prosecuting Attorney, Klickitat County. I have with me Jeff Baker, West District Court Judge, and Rick Hansen, the Honorables, Jeff Baker and Rick Hansen of the East District Court. We'd like to have a conversation with you today and keep it, I think it'd be relatively brief and hopefully positive. 2019, the county moved from the juvenile department to the solid waste department. The oversight and administration of the litter crew and which also functions as a work crew. Due to various reasons, the judges and I, with the support of the probation department and juvenile department, are asking the board to reconsider that decision, and we're asking to transfer the oversight, administration, and vehicles of the litter crew and work crew to the probation department. Ms. Cook is the interim director of the probation department. She's present to affirm on their willingness and ability to do that. Tom Akins at the juvenile department has volunteered the able assistance of his staff, Debbie Stover, to help with any of the financial, to teach and instruct on any issues related to the financial implementation, the grant compliance, application of compliance, paperwork, and so forth. We believe it'll be hopefully a streamless a process that will be without issues. The key, I think, really is to return the control and oversight to the criminal justice system. Most of the folks are currently being sentenced to alternatives in lieu, or some folks that are eligible for alternative sentencing under the RCWs. That is an increasingly broad category of offenders that are sentenced, are entitled to a resumption of an alternative sentence to community service or work crew. It's definitely my strong belief, and I believe supported, and I don't want to speak for these two gentlemen as they're inching away, that I think they're fully supportive of the first course of the alternative sentence being the work crew, litter crew. That's the kind of the one in the vast, the visible outside, the 8 hours on the one and done. Full day in jail was converted to 1 day community service to get that done. That frees up some resources. Also from probation and the courts from having to monitor ongoing violations and compliance issues, bringing people back for not completing in a timely manner and so forth. Some of the resources and so forth, and going into the vetting and oversight of community service hours, which in many contexts are appropriate, especially for out-of-town folks and folks with mobility issues, things like that, is definitely appropriate. But right now, there's, I think, a widespread belief that it's either jail or community service. I'd like to return to a system where there's consistent and reliable availability for both juveniles and adults to perform their community service via work crew and litter crew, which would be a benefit, I think, to the courts for a more efficient and quick compliance with court orders. Be, I think, beneficial for the probation to have that immediate control and availability of the work crew to help the offender satisfy their court-ordered obligation. Will definitely help the community in a more visible presence and I think more litter collection and so forth if done correctly. I think it was a very interesting experiment, and we're just asking to return to the control to the criminal justice system where I think we strongly believe it where it belongs, and it should stay for the various reasons. So turn it over to the judges. You never want to speak for a judge, so
Probably a good thing.
I guess I would say that what David has mentioned is 100% correct. We'd like to see that restored to the criminal justice system. We believe that, well, I strongly believe that it's a mechanism that we have that'll allow us to get some benefit from folks who may not have the ability to pay fees and fines, but have the ability, are able-bodied and able to work those off. And then the county sees that benefit. We've missed that program in our courts and the ability to oversee that. There's been the ability for folks to get community service, but then it's another step removed from our oversight because it's out in the community where we can't vet those programs that easily. Work crew is reliable when it's working. It's reliable. Pick people up at a certain location, get them out there, do that work, and get it done. It seems to be a way to get folks through the system without having to continue to babysit and monitor whether they're doing these other things. So we'd really like to see that restored so that we have the ability to use that mechanism in our courts.
Yeah, I have every confidence that our probation department could handle that. The other option we have, along with jail time, is community service, which allows the defendant to go out and tell us in the community where he wants to work, usually with their church, which is all good, fine, etc. But I think it has more of a punishment and accountability aspect if they're out doing work crew out on the road, for instance, picking up litter visible in the community. So I personally, I just prefer work crew to community service for that reason, although there's certainly benefits to community service also.
I have one question that hopefully one of you guys can answer. Can anybody tell me how long litter pickup was in probation before it got transferred to solid waste?
I think it was in juvenile, actually. I think the FTE was housed in the juvenile. Steve, you might be able to speak more to that.
It started in 2011? And it was in juvenile?
Well, we started community service back in 93, somewhere right in there. We took over the litter grant, I did in 2011.
And then when you originally started with the litter grant, you were in juvenile and then moved to adult, right? So do you guys envision if this all goes your way, would it be in juvenile or would it be in adult?
I'm in probation department.
Which would be the juvenile?
They're separate departments. Probation department reports directly to the two district court judges. They're basically a department of the district court.
Okay.
And so would be under the direct control and supervision of the two district court judges.
Okay.
Who I think are the presence today, I think indicates they understand, are willing and able and eager to accept that responsibility.
Any other questions?
Nope.
I firmly believe that the litter and work crew is a resource to this county. You don't have to drive down many roads before you see a whole lot of trash. And it seems like there's been some dysfunction in the system for a time, and that is likely due to the fact that COVID shut everything down for a while. And this is our opportunity to recreate it the way that you gentlemen would like it to be. I have no problems and no qualms with it being underneath you guys so that you feel like you have the control and authority. So for that direct link for the people who are doing the litter crew, who are doing the pickup, and if they're not doing it, it's going through probation, you're hearing about it, and then it gives you guys direct control and oversight. We, as far as I'm concerned, don't need anything to do with that. I would say though that, the grant for, through Department of Ecology does go through our solid waste department. And so there will still be that contact with that grant agency and those deliverables and how that goes. And that would just be the department head working with whoever's in charge of the litter crew, ensuring that all of the grant deliverables are followed to the way that they're required by the agreements. And I don't see you guys having any problem making sure that happens. And so with that, I'm absolutely in favor of moving it. Like, I wasn't here when it moved the first time, but I don't know why it did.
That's a long story. I wasn't here either. I was sitting back there. So what you guys are asking for is the 30-hour-a-week employee with no benefits to be transferred to your office for management, knowing that you're still going to have to.
That is not the request. It is currently a .875 FTE.
But only 30 hours of that is under the grant.
But it's a .875 FTE. That was contemplated to move the FTE position over. I believe you received a request today as a possible reorganization by another department to reduce it to 30 hours total with no benefits. That position's been hard enough to fill as it is. It's currently unfilled. There's been numerous personnel changes in the last few years. The request is to move the .875 to probation department.
One other thing, 30 hours or 35 hours, either way, those are benefited positions as I'm seeing from my HR director in the back.
Well, it's just a matter of the funding, because only if 30 hours of it is actually funded by the litter pickup crew or the litter pickup grant, and the rest of it is being funded by our landfill administration fees. I don't know that I can transfer the landfill administration fees over there. So that's a whole nother question.
Well, the landfill fees supplement many different departments and funds. They supplement the victim witness.
No,
fund, they
that,
supplement,
well,
other funds. That I think is a question for the accountants to move the beans to the appropriate counter. But the possibility for grant reimbursement up to the 30 hours exists. That is dependent on whether resources, other conditions. I don't think there's ever been a situation where the full grant allowable amount was obtained in reimbursement because of the personnel staffing issues, weather issues, things like that. So that position has been used in the past and to be contemplated at least hopefully a few hours a month to help with additional tasks and administrative duties.
so if this is a 0.8 FTE, how many hours do you picture them actually working on litter crew?
0.875, as much as possible.
I can see someone in the back shaking your head. Would you like to say anything, Director?
So obviously, because there's been a discussion regarding litter crew and myself and the other interested parties, there's a misconception of what it is that's being paid for and what isn't being paid for. I currently am paying for the additional part of that litter crew position through my admin fees, which I budgeted for. And the litter crew is also something that, not the litter crew, but the actual work crew is also something else that I pay for out of my admin fees. The grant does not pay for that. Currently, the only thing that that grant is going to pay for is 30 to 35 hours. That's it, a week for litter crew activities. It's not going to pay for benefits. I can tell you right now that what we have between now and the end of the grant, I mean, once that money is gone, it's gone. So we currently have, yeah. Thank you. So we started out with $58,000 approximately for litter crew pickup for this biennium, which is 2021 to 23. And then 14,500 of that was for outreach and education and litter prevention. Third quarter, after which we have approximately $39,000 left, with $10,000 left for outreach and education. That means if you're looking at 30 hours a week at $17 an hour, you're looking at about $30,000 needed for the entire grant cycle. That's not counting maintenance and everything else. But once that money is gone, that money's gone, period. So we can only work it up to the amount of money that we have. And with 10% admin, that's about $2,800 plus fuel, which is probably about $300 right now. So you have all of those other extra added expenditures that you have to bank on or look at in order to make sure that you don't overspend on the grant or you underspend on the grant. Previously, this was not a benefited position. I turned it into a benefited position to try to get somebody good into that position, which I had until she had a heart attack. So since then, I took it from a 40-hour and put it down to a 35-hour with benefits. So previously, Steve Crow did this job at 30 hours a week, give or take. His benefits came from a different department. So, I think that this is definitely a discussion worth having because I don't need the headache. And, but I think that we need to sit down and actually look at what the grant pays for before we go moving stuff around. Steve, I don't know if he actually managed the grant, but I know that we have been administering that grant for quite some time.
Thank you for the information. I think this rolls into our next conversation and our next discussion because many of the people that you are putting out on litter crew and work crew are also coming from the municipalities, correct, as well? And likely will in the future, whether they're juveniles or adults. And I think that rolls into our next conversation. I think what we really have to, thank you. Maybe turn it off. Is it on the bottom? Okay. I think what it comes down to is that if you judges would like this program to be successful so that we can clean up the litter along the roads in this county into the future, and that you guys are going to push the people who come through your courts through this program, it comes up to us to ensure that we get it funded. I see this as, one of the primary duties of county government personally, is the health, safety, and welfare. And what you guys do is one of those primary functions of county government. Whether it's 30 hours per week or 35 hours per week, that's going to depend on how many people you are pushing into the program. And when it comes to the funding, we have the funds that are available to pay for some of it, as we can see, but it's not likely all of it when it comes to benefits and everything else. And we're going to have to figure that out. But that's where it was previously. That's where I personally would like to see it. And I think we can find a way to ensure that it's housed where it probably needs to belong. Commissioner Christopher?
I don't disagree. I'm just one of those people that are thorough and likes to put all the numbers on a piece of paper so you know everything that you should be getting with this. Including the still having to work with solid waste. If they're the ones that are actually administering the grant, you might have to report your hours to them so that they can report the hours on the grant. But I also see no reason why not to give you what you want. Yeah, I don't see a problem with it other than the need to sit down and the need for us to direct our staff to work with you to make it as successful as you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I would say from here, I would direct staff to come up with the agreement to move it back over, along with the vehicles and all the headaches that go along with that. And that would be my
Right.
recommendation.
And I would recommend to staff to not worry about the administrative fees. Those will probably end up staying in your department, and we will probably have to subsidize what's over the 30 hours with basic landfill funds, not administrative fees. We'll have to do that on a county level here. And then you can use the administrative fees somewhere else in your budget, which would then reduce the landfill fees that we can tuck over there. So yeah, I would say work together and make it happen. And if you need one of us to sit in and be an intermediary in that discussion to make it happen between your staff and our staff, I'm sure you would find a willing participant to sit in and help you make sure it gets done.
Thank you.
Thank you for being willing to take on more work.
Yeah. Well, that's the quick one. We still got another one to go with them too.
All right, shall we move on? Yes.
I have one more comment to make before continuing forward. This is going to require an actual conversation, just because of all of the legalities and stuff that go with it. There's also the matter of making amendments and grant management, also the correspondence with the Department of Ecology.
I would assume that would be the conversation between staffs.
Okay, so I didn't know if there's like, if this is an ongoing conversation, or if this is, now that you've made your decision, this is what we're doing.
Well, until we make a motion to have it done with all three of us present, I mean, we're moving in this direction and we're directing staff to move in this direction.
But Commissioner Sauter did authorize me to relay to the board his full support for the transition. He has no objection whatsoever to the transition to the probation department.
Great.
Good to know.
Okay, shall we move on?
Sure.
All right. And it looks like we have Jan Brending from the city of White Salmon. I let the mayors, all three mayors, know that we were having this discussion. And
You want to announce to everybody what the discussion is?
yeah, I'll announce it again, I guess. This is the discussion concerning entering into negotiations with Klickitat County municipalities to determine a more equitable method of charging for district court services. Prosecutor Cannell, you and I guess we all started having these discussions. Were you able to get Jen the numbers that you talked about that you were able to pull?
I spoke with Jen. She said she was on vacation this week, so she'll get the numbers when it's.
Okay.
And just for the, I the judges might be caught off guard. Now, I had not been advised, I'm sure if they had, that this was actually some sort of negotiation to occur with the cities right here now. That was.
No. I let them know that we were having a discussion just so that if they wanted to listen, not saying we're having a negotiation right now. Absolutely not. No. This is just the discussion of where we've been and where we want to go. And you've done some looking into the research and the history, correct, on with clerk of the board, Ms. Snell, on what the cities used to pay for these services, and they were far more than they currently are, correct?
There were contracts in place in the 90s with, for example, Goldendale in 1994, paying approximately $21,000 a year. At that time, the FTE, the calculation was based on the percentage of criminal filings attributed to 35% for the city of Goldendale that was applied to the digital salary, including benefits at that time. There is a county code on, these are things what we've talked about a couple times in open sessions. There's a county code that we currently have that the cities are responsible for paying. The code mentions for the maintenance of the criminal justice system, a proportional share of the judicial salary. At some point, approximately 12 to 15 years ago, rather than the percentage of criminal filings and that percentage being applied to the judicial salary, it changed from the number of criminal filings from the entire caseload, which includes infractions, criminal cases, civil cases, protection orders, in the district courts, which substantially reduced the percentage attributable to the cities. That number has been used for quite a few years now. It's unclear as to when exactly that transition occurred and why, given that it substantially reduced that proportion and the corresponding amount paid by the cities. We currently don't have any, appears, we don't have any agreements in place with the city. So we are providing this service, I guess, on good faith that they'll pay with no indemnification or interlocal agreements not currently in place. So probation services aren't included, they're not paid for. There is no, from our records indicate, there has not been an agreement in place for a substantial period of time. And in fact, our county codes don't even allow for a municipal department for the gold mill. So we do for Benjamin White Salmon, we're specifically authorized under the county code to have a municipal department within the district court, but we have no corresponding like provision for gold mill. It's not ideal for this conversation to be occurring in this context, but that's where we are right now.
So to me, that's why you gentlemen are here. We see a problem. We would like to fix said problem. But you guys are elected officials. We wanted to make sure we bring you guys on board and you guys are okay with it or in that agreement with other elected officials to help try to right the ship. In a nutshell.
Yeah, this touches on multiple electeds. It touches on multiple departments. I mean, I guess the honest answer is I don't know why in the beginning that they were only paying for a prorated portion of the judge's salary and benefits, including, I mean, there are far more costs that go into managing this municipal services. From probation to bailiffs to all the litany of things that you list off the top of your head so well, Prosecutor Cannell. And so our goal, like we know that the cities have already set their budgets for the year, so we don't want to have a huge impact on them. So what we sent as a letter to the cities was that we would continue with the current agreement for that we have, the way that it's been being managed at their low understood rated percentage through July. And then what we would do is we would enter into negotiations based on either, anticipated costs, actual costs, what we assume them to be, or, if the cities had to do it themselves, what their costs are going to be, so that we can find some parity and fairness here. And I think everybody on board wants to be fair when it comes to ensuring that the costs are spread where they belong. And so what that would do is hopefully start at the beginning of next year so that they can start budgeting for those. We know it would be an increase in costs. We also know that in the end, we're still probably going to be subsidizing their court systems to some degree. And then maybe at the second half of the year, we'd go somewhere in the middle so that, we can recoup some of those costs. I mean, we see how difficult it is and how much you guys continue to come in saying, we need more help, we need more staff, we need, full-time with probation, with work crew, with all these things. And I think we have the opportunity to all work together to ensure that can all happen. And this is one of those ways. We are turning over every rock we can find to try to find the monies to continue conducting the operations of this county into the future. And this is one of those. Judges, do you have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts?
Well, obviously, I think there ought to be a fair system of contribution worked out with the city. I think it's way more efficient to have one court rather than the courts divided between the city court and the district court. I don't know how you arrive at that decision. I don't think you want us to enter into the negotiations. I don't believe that's our role. I think our role is more to be here to inform you or answer questions if you have about things such as time and things of that nature. I'm assuming that's what you envision our role as.
Well, yes, but we also don't want to do this if you're opposed to it either, because it affects you in your courts. So we didn't want to do it and leave you sitting over there with no input.
Right. Well, I would be opposed if there's a splitting of it. I just don't think it's efficient.
Right.
But if that's what has to be done because the parties can't reach an agreement, I guess that's what.
Yeah, I don't know that would ever happen because it would cost the city way too much money to try to operate their own courts and their own probation and their own, and we would never be trying to charge them what that would cost. So it will always be cheaper to do it here. So I don't picture that going away. That isn't part of my ideal scenario. So yeah, hopefully that's back there.
I would just say that as a technical matter, we're sitting here as district court judges and municipal court judges. So I appreciate the negotiation process that has to happen. For us to weigh in one way or the other, we are actually working on behalf of the cities that we're the municipal judges for. We're also working on behalf of the county. So for us we're not going to take a side in this thing, as Judge Hanson points out. We would like to see this go forward in an efficient manner. I think that's the best way to do it. I don't necessarily think that the cost of this, I think the cost needs to be trued up, as it were. And I think that if we can make sure that that's done in a way that feels fair to everybody, then that's the outcome that we'd like to see.
Right.
That outcome is not for us entirely. It's for the staff. It's for the citizens. It's for the law enforcement. It's for everybody engaged in the criminal justice system. Again, I don't think we can give you an opinion about those things because we're actually beholden to two masters in some respects here as we work for the cities as well as the county. So, but I think as Judge Hanson says, and I agree 110%, we want this to be done in a way that makes sure that we move forward as seamlessly as we possibly can.
Okay. So. Perfect.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page as we move forward, and that I've talked with all the mayors and everybody's so, and I know Mayor Keithler would like to move forward into negotiations much sooner rather than later so that they can start budgeting for next year as we're starting this process.
Right, and I what we both didn't say that I think we want to say right off, we should have said right off the top is we appreciate the opportunity to answer those questions. We're not here to advocate for one side or the other, but to draw us in. We appreciate that, and any information we can provide, we'd be glad to provide that. I think we have, and David has as well, statistics and numbers and so forth that we can provide to everybody to let them know what it is we're doing in East and West District Court on a daily basis.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. No, we just didn't want to go about it without your knowledge or permission. So yeah, no, that's why you're here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else on this, Prosecutor Cannell? All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time and coming up here. And thank you for everything that you do for the citizens of Klickitat County.
Thank you. Appreciate
All right.
your time.
Have a great day.
So the prosecutor came up with numbers?
So we started asking the courts about numbers, and they sent us some 500 pages of all the stuff. And the prosecutor said, oh, the state does this other thing over here, and we can go get those numbers. And they do it every year. It should take an hour of time. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
oh, well, that sure beats going through all these things. I mean, we'll have to still truth and verify that those are accurate, but other than that, no, I think it'll be really good.
You have a good number, okay.
And yeah, I mean, I wish Jen was here for this as well, but, and him. Okay. Next up.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with 14 items.
I will step down and second the motion. Any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Hand me the sheet in the bills, Lily.
Oops.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the accounts payable warrants in the amount of $142,168.06 and the payroll benefit warrants in the amount of $0 for the date ending April 4th, 2022.
I will step down and second the motion. All those in favor of paying the bills?
Aye.
Please. Aye. Motion carries. All right. We will move on to HR and Administrative Services Director, Rob Van Cleve.
Missed one, emergency management, Jeff King.
Mine it's X'd out.
Oh, mine isn't.
That's because I'm on the blue card.
Oh, I'm on the email. I'm on the agenda from, yeah.
The actual agenda.
Yeah.
All right. Update on the review of the insurance provider services.
Good afternoon. I'm here to ask for verbal permission to begin the process to move our insurance from the Washington Rural Counties Insurance Program to the Washington Counties Risk Pool. The Washington Counties Risk Pool Board met a couple of weeks ago and approved our membership with the understanding that you had not made a decision yet, but their plan year starts in October and their actuarials are now building their rate structure. And so they needed to know, because they have our rate history, if we were going to potentially be a member, they needed to get that data included. So, and we've had a number of discussions about this subject. There is a potential savings. I hesitate to say what it would be, but I think there's no little question that it would be less than we're paying now. And I think the technology that they offer would be beneficial to us as well. So I would recommend that we move to the new pool effective October. We'd have to work with the other company because that coverage goes till December. So we'd have to work out that. But so if I can get verbal approval, then we'll move forward knowing we have to come back with a resolution when the full board is here for the final decision. But
yes, you have my approval. I know there's going to be some things that we may want to tweak. The crime coverage, we might be overpaying, things like that to get our policy tweaked in the way we want it. But it's looking into, I sat on a WASAC, the WASAC meeting on Monday that they always have was about cybersecurity. And it covered some state and federal stuff that we may not be aware of here, which hopefully we'll get to eventually. But it also covered the training that insurer has that ours does not, which is again, just one more reason that I really think we got to take the jump even over the savings of dollars. I think it's going to provide us a better service.
I thought we gave this to you last week.
that was wasn't that a work session? Didn't we talk about? I don't know when we talked about.
Oh, was
it
that
last
on a
time.
work
Yeah.
session? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can make a.
Okay.
Well, and we had to wait for them to determine
To
whether they were
agree
going to allow
to.
us into the pool. So, I think it's just time. And I told them that my original plan was to bring this to the next work session to get direction from you, but because of the plan year and the actuarials, that would have made it challenging for them. And so I said I would bring it forward to you today to see if I could give verbal approval.
sorry, are they gonna give us another estimate using the deductibles that we want versus the deductibles that they quoted us on? Or is that just, are we just gonna say, we want this coverage, we want these deductibles, go for it?
I did confirm with them that they did give it to us at the lower deductibles.
Okay.
I think I sent
I
that back
thought
to you in
so.
an email. As we go through this, there'll be an application we'll have to fill out, and we'll have to set all of these different
Parameters.
different levels. So yeah, we'll have to go through that. I suspect it's a pretty comprehensive process we'll have to go through to identify all of those.
How long have you searched to see how long we've had this current insurer? Did we ever have the other one before that, or does anybody know? Oh, Lee's
Mr.
got a
Cannell,
hand up.
Yes, we had the other one. I can't remember the exact year, but it switched from the one we're considering now to the one we have.
Yeah, I believe it's been over 10 years. Yeah. I don't know if so.
Get that data for you.
Okay. No, I don't need it. I just. was
So it's
curious.
not a matter of us
I don't want to make you work
jumping
and do
back
anything.
and forth between the pools. We've been in this pool quite a while, and I was looking at the map before I came in here. So all of the contiguous counties are in the pool we would be moving into.
Well, I look at the data from the pool we're in and all the incidents, because I'm on the board of directors and we have to actually approve everybody's checks we're writing every month, and ours just aren't there. But other counties are pretty constant, whether they're hitting a deer or they have a cyber attack or whatever. And I'm just absolutely astonished that our rates are as high as they are. We do have a couple of big claim types. Yeah, I don't know how the cost got to where it is today.
Well, I think anytime, Commissioner, you're in a pool, whether it be a pool of 20 plus counties or a smaller pool, as the pool goes, so do all the members in the pool, good years and bad years. So, and I wouldn't sit here and tell you that the pool we would like to go into won't have their own increases. There's much larger counties. In this new pool, we would not be the largest county. And so, but I just think on the technology they use and the level of customer service they have and the real potential that it's going to be less expensive would justify me asking you to allow us to move.
Yeah.
Well, I give you verbal as well. I know he serves on the other board, and if he thinks we need to go, then I support his idea as well.
I have that meeting on Thursday, so I don't love the thought of advising them that we're going, because I could pretty much tell you that the other counties are gonna get their premiums jacked up because we left. But there's just so much there, from the training to law enforcement training to behavioral health type trainings that other pool provides that ours doesn't.
I mean, in the times we live, the cyber coverage itself could pay for itself. Okay.
Yep. Thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate it.
Okay, pending issues. Carmen, do you have something for us? You just hanging out?
Yeah, well, I thought Jeff was gonna be here, so.
Oh, sorry.
Canceled and I didn't know. It's okay.
He didn't know either, so that's okay.
I did enjoy the discussion about probation and.
All right, thank you.
As long as one of us enjoyed it, you're fine.
When I was asking her.
We should have moved it into the jail. That'd work.
No,
Let her pick up.
we actually, we had a conversation. We found where to put the new dog shelter. We're gonna put it in the jail.
Yeah.
And all the open.
All the open cells that you're not using, they'll just house all the dogs. And
Well, the rate DOC's bringing them in today, I'm not gonna have any open cells.
Oh, really?
You can share a pet, and you can teach them how to be, humane with animals and all that good stuff.
I do have to say, I am in agreement with the litter patrol going back to probation. I do support that.
Okay. Thank you for your.
100%. That's the best news you got all day, the DOC coming in.
That's cha-ching, right? Yeah. How many did they bring in?
This morning so far I've had 3 and they said we'd grab a steady stream. So.
Okay.
$300.
I told them I had room at the end, so.
$300. Woohoo!
All right, board pending. Do you have anything, sir?
I know I did, but I don't know that I do. Let me look. First, I guess I'll go by a calendar. We already told you about, so that Wasac meeting with cyber coverage, they have federal stuff and state stuff where they literally, you can call them and they will come into your county free of charge, come into your government and look through your cyber and do a
Analysis?
awareness analysis for free.
Wow.
If we're not doing that, I don't know why. So that's a good resource. And then there's also one through the new insurer that I kind of half-heartedly mentioned there that we're gonna probably hopefully look into in the near future as we go through that. You already covered that. I don't know that I necessarily have anything. Insurance meeting tomorrow, and then I have observatory on Thursday, but yeah.
Observatory. Are you on a
There,
committee?
I like a grand opening at the observatory that I was asked to go attend.
Oh, neat. I went to Larry Barker's retirement on Thursday, had a good turnout, really good food. And we used the Google Meets downstairs and with the everything, and it worked really well. It'll work even better when we get the window shades so you can see, so it's not backlit, but that room, like that's the first event that I've really been in where the doors were open and you had all the room, and it's a large space and it's going to be really, really productive and positive for the citizens of the county, I think, in the long run.
Good.
And then we had the industry day for the replacement of the Hood River Bridge for the our RBMC. That's the owners representatives contracts group, and there was a really good turnout of firms that are looking to represent all of us jurisdictions on the building of the bridge. So that was really positive as well. And those are my big updates for the day. Get back to the blue card.
See, not that there's a ton of updates when we're missing one seatmate. So.
Yeah, that happens. Okay, we're going to move on to the prosecuting attorney, David Cannell, pending issues.
I don't have anything to do.
Nothing on pending issues, nothing, how about in executive session?
No, any questions?
How do you feel that went?
Oh, fine enough. We'll see how it works out.
It'll all work out.
Yeah, and so who's going to be in charge of that, Courtney?
Courtney's the interim director of the probation.
Okay. So the whole thing with interdepartmental meeting would be Courtney meeting with Ruby to hammer that all down. If you hear anything that I don't hear and there needs to be somebody sitting in the room, please let us know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Thank you for all your help today, getting us through all these, I mean, big changes.
It'll be better.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order, sir?
I know I'm forgetting something, but if I'm forgetting it, it must not be that important. It can wait till next week.
I probably agree. All right. If you would like to make a motion, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn the meeting until next Tuesday.
There's been a motion to adjourn the regular meeting. There will be no workshop scheduled for April 7th. So we will see you all next Tuesday. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, all of you who stayed on the line and listened to the government of Klickitat County work for you.
Thank you.